Good evening, everyone. I am Molly the Kush RN, and you have reached Conversations with Kush. Tonight, I have an incredibly special guest all the way from Peru. I have Berta Limo Cueva from the Fundación Hadita Verde Peru, and she's here to tell us about what she does and how that relates to cannabis. So welcome, Berta.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
It is my pleasure. As we spoke about earlier, I'm so excited to learn about cannabis and how it expresses itself amongst people in other parts of the world. So this is a really interesting perspective that I'm excited about learning. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it is. It's amazing how cannabis can go everywhere in the world.
It really can. Hello, cat. I think the cat likes it too.
Oh, gosh. I'm so sorry.
You're okay.
Just jump.
No worries. Tell me about your foundation and how it came to be.
Well, it's like around more than 15 years ago, pretty much.
Okay.
I was studying in the university architecture, and I was playing soccer. I remember, and I got injured. And in that time, I was recreational user. Well, I am right now also.
Okay.
For some reason, I ended up in the emergency room, and everybody was telling me that I need some surgery, and I didn't want to do anything to my body. Like, I'm a person who likes to heal with herbs. Since I was like a baby, I think my grandma taught me to do a lot of alchemist. In Peru, we heal ourselves with a lot of tea.
Right.
Pretty much. If I can show you right now, I have a lot of herbs hanging out in my kitchen. And
okay.
If I call and I get something, I just get some herb and I get healed.
That's beautiful. It's the way nature intended, right?
I think it's the way you connect also, right?
Sure.
You connect with the herbs and you know that it's going to heal you, and then you get used to the thought that it's going to heal you, right? And then everything gets balanced and connected, and it's just a good result in the end. But when I got injured, I didn't know the cannabis can help me so much. And I was researching, and I got into the oil preparation. I did my tincture, and the first time was horrible. But in the second time, it was amazing. And after a couple of weeks, I was healed.
Awesome.
Like I was walking, and I went to the doctor, and he was like, "What do you do? What do you do?" And I told him, like, I did some tinctures and I used cannabis. And he was like, "What?
Wow.
Drugs?"
Right. So this was about 15 years ago, you mentioned?
Yeah. So
okay.
in Peru, is still right now, people still thinking about cannabis that is equal to a drug, right?
Right.
It's going to damage you. It's going to hurt you in some way, right? It's gonna take you to a different other kind of drugs or whatever, right?
Not just in Peru, that's everywhere. We have so much work to do around that stigma.
Yeah, and it's bad, but with my example and the result, everybody was very surprised.
Okay.
And then somebody came and asked me, "Hey, can you do it for my cousin? Can you do it for my mom? Can you do it for this?" And then I started remember some formulas to do some body creams from my grandma's.
Okay.
And I'm like, what about if I do that and add some cannabis? You know, what about if I start making some, I don't know, something for my lips? And I don't know, I started doing it for fun after I started healing myself and then to help everybody around me. And it was amazing. And then the law came to Peru. It was a green flag for us just to go and, start doing everything under the government law. And I was one of the first one who went to register the foundation. We started working with some medical people around my area. I started teaching them, and I didn't even know what I was doing. I was researching from papers, from a really small amount of papers that I can find in Google.
Exactly.
Like, it was, right now, you can go and find more than 200 articles, right? But in that time, it was hard, even if you are... Even if you want to look in a different other languages, right? That I did, but I couldn't find no more. And time passed by, and cannabis is right now very important for me, for my family. My mom uses it every day.
Awesome.
She has, yes.
You mentioned one thing I just really wanted to point out about your story is that you mentioned cannabis it felt like kind of a natural fit because it was getting back to those roots where you were really invested in like your family's garden, and then to actually pull that in along with the things that you're telling me now by saying here in Peru, we heal ourselves from the things that come from the land. We don't, automatically go to the doctor. And so that's our first natural instinct, is to have healing from things that we find all around us. So
yes, and it's magic because in some way cannabis made me go to my roots.
Of course.
When cannabis started healing people around me and healing myself, I started reading more about herbs. How can I, mix cannabis with the different herbs? How can I, combine chamomile with cannabis? How can I, start doing different kind of formulations? Not only cannabis. Cannabis is amazing. You can do so much with cannabis. It's a great plant. When you combine cannabis with the perfect plants around, even when you grow,
it helps everything, right, Berta?
I love it.
Me too.
If you go to my garden, you will see lavender to protect different kind of species to damage my plants, or chamomile in the ground, or mint or muña that is very from the area.
Okay.
It's different.
Tell me about the laws in Peru. What is the state of cannabis as it is considered through laws? Is it legal to consume recreationally, medically, not at all? How does that go about? We already know on the hearts and minds of people, it's kind of considered an illicit drug. So how does the law view it?
It's actually getting better, to be honest. I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, the medicine cannabis was approved.
Okay.
There is many foundations and associations. We have one, you can get with 2 or 4 people, or more than 2 people, and get an association, grow your own plants, and consume your own flowers.
Okay.
Or make your own tinctures. You can do that. It's legal.
Okay.
It's hard to do it.
Let me just clarify. So like here in Minnesota, we have a thing called a caregivers program where a person, if they're not able to grow their own medicine, can elect their growing ability to someone else, and then that person can grow for them. Is that similar to what you just spoke about? Okay, great.
Yeah, it's like an association.
Okay,
right?
understood.
Or you can have a foundation as myself and have a different patients that they need different kind of flowers and tinctures, or even dabs.
Okay.
It's legal to have.
And are there actual places where you can go, like a dispensary, to pick up your medical cannabis, or?
We have boticas magistrales or pharmacies magistrales. That's pharmacies, special pharmacies. You go into and they make products based on cannabis.
Okay.
You register on the government as a patient. You register sorry.
You're okay.
With the pharmacy, and you can go.
Okay.
No problem. The government also has a program in the National Health Insurance. they provide you with CBD drops.
Okay.
And THC if the doctor prescribes.
Ah, okay.
So THC, so you have the recreational law that you can have up to 8 grams on your pockets.
Okay.
So if the police stop you, right, in
Yeah.
the street, and you have more than that, you will have problems.
Okay.
Right? But if you have 8 grams, up to 8 grams, you're okay. You can have it, you can consume it. There are some restricted areas that you cannot consume, like close to the kids,
Right.
garden, respecting the old people,
Right.
the elders.
Reasonable things.
Yeah. But yes, it's legal. Also hemp.
Okay.
You can do industrial hemp. They just start in Peru.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that. I wanted to know about your industrial hemp, if that had been widely accessed and utilized in your country.
Yep. They just passed a new law. It was like a couple of weeks ago, and they say, go ahead, you can do it.
Awesome.
It is a lot of restriction, paperwork, and bureaucracy, right?
I wonder why.
Usually is every government. I don't want to talk about it, but how it's South America. Sometimes some countries are a lot of corruption.
Yeah, for
around.
Sure. Hey, we're no strangers to corruption here, okay, Berta?
But you know how it is.
Yes.
It is the same for the cannabis industry.
Okay, understood.
So, and also my point of view, as I always say, they need to get education as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because they are beginning to do things like a very speed force. They are running to do things. They're running to do extraction. They're running to do cultivation. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You need to know where to get your equipment. You need to know where to get the cards. I mean, you need to sit and listen. It's a lot of things right there,
Right.
And the industry is growing so fast, but it's a little education around.
It does.
The sad part.
The education goes a long way because people need to understand that sourcing excellent medicine is only going to, serve them well in the long run. That if they're taking medicine and it's not either grown or processed or packaged up correctly, like those all are factors in that's going to limit them from getting the best medicine, right? So it's important to have every step of the way during the cannabis process, making sure that, you're doing things really in the best possible way and not in a way that's just a money grab.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the overall, do you think a lot of people utilize the medical program in Peru?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up some stats on that when your show posts. I'm going to post some of those stats because I'm curious.
Yes. And for example, we have good doctors.
Yeah.
Very good doctors. They do research. But I get to see the difference of the doctors in, for example, New York. That was a place that I was studying in. And I got in touch with a lot of nurses, a lot of doctors. They prescribe cannabis. We talk a lot about it. But when you come to Peru and that shocked me, I don't know how to call it, cannabis shock culture.
Yeah.
I start seeing a lot of marketing, and it's everything about marketing. I'm like, no, you're not educating people. That's not the way, or that's not the best way to do it. And
yeah.
I don't know.
Tell me about your foundation. So what is it that you do at the foundation?
Okay, so right now we do a lot of things. Baby steps, but we do a lot of things. We are legal and we are growing our first legal cannabis crop. We have a lot of good genetics. We have THCV, we have CBG, we have a lot of CBD, THC.
Wonderful.
Yes, I love to mix those genetics and those compounds. I think that they go together well. Depends of the symptoms and all of that. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to give to my country. And in this first round, I did a lot of breeding. So we have a lot of seeds that I'm going to give away to a lot of organizations around. So they
Awesome.
also have good genetics,
Yes.
good compounds, because it's important that we share and we
Yeah.
don't just keep it for ourselves.
We have to free the
That's not the,
plant, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. If we free everything, then
Mhm.
everybody can be good,
Yes.
and then we can do good things together.
Yes, we
That's what
can.
I believe.
I love that
I
vision.
hope so.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope that works.
I had someone on the show a couple of weeks ago that said genetics is really the first and foremost most important thing that you need to have locked in when you're getting ready to grow your own medicine. So thank you
That's
for saying that. And I love to hear you talking about all of these other cannabinoids like THCV and CBG. Like, it's wonderful that you're passing on this information in a really scientific way so that people understand this is medicine and it's not an illicit drug that's just here to make me high or get me out of my mind.
there we go. There we
So,
go. And it's very funny you mention it, because today I got I say consultation, but it's like chatting with the patient, right? And it was my cousin, my little one today.
okay.
He has THD, and it's very, very like a high level. Um, and he's getting all these pills and everything. And he's like, you know what? I can't help it, and I don't want more pills. I'm feeling like a zombie every day. I need to live my life. I can't be like this every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, relax. And I started telling him about the THCV, right? How it works, how I start reading about articles about his symptoms and the THCV. And he got very happy about it. So we're gonna try with that one.
Nice.
And he was in the past, he was one of the one who pointed me for smoking cannabis.
Okay. So he's opening
very
up his mind a
religious.
little about.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
very religious, and he was very close about it. And now he's asking me for it. So it's not only about how cannabis can also win these kind of battles, but how me representing the plant with the science behind,
Right.
with the education that I have, it's totally different than me 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's totally different, right?
Right.
So education is the key
It's
in everything.
It really is. It really is. I think once you can convince people, there's a lot of research projects out there on cannabis. The problem is that most of them are done from a lens of harm versus benefit. So now that people are opening up their minds to cannabis is being studied a little bit more widely. We're seeing how cannabis actually can reduce tumor size or, heal your bowel after colitis flare-ups or, different things that are really compelling and don't have that lens of harm attached to them. So I'm really excited about all the research that's coming along. And, I especially love to see when research comes out of places other than the United States, because as we see you in Peru, spreading the good word about how cannabis is medicine and really getting to the heart of how patients can come into that access that. So thank you so much for that really important work.
No problem. I wanna add something about it. Well,
Yes,
my
please.
mom, she lives in Canada,
Yeah.
and she is dual citizen with Peru. So in COVID time, she came and visited me, but she stayed in lockdown with me the whole COVID time. So she started looking at me doing things that she never saw me doing, like making body cream with cannabis and stuff. Like limb balls or tinctures. And one day she asked me if she can take some cannabis cream. And I'm like, sure. And I didn't know that she was suffer very much of a pain in a place that the sun doesn't go
Yeah.
inside. And she got hemorrhoids, and she started using the cream in that area.
Okay.
And she told me a week after, she's like, your cream is magic.
Yes.
I healed that area. It was bleeding.
Oh.
And I was like, what? And she started telling me that the doctor in Canada started giving her pills and these kind of lotions and stuff, and nothing happened. Nothing cures. And that cream started helping her and cure her in like a week.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I was like, and I was just beginning the story, right? And I'm like, well, what? It works, like really works. And I started reading more about it. And when you read more about the plant, you get in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It really is. A funny story. I also have someone that was using cannabis for treatment of nausea and other things related to chemotherapy. And she also had a hemorrhoid. And I introduced her to someone where I source my medicine from that makes suppositories. And she said overnight that cannabis suppository helped her hemorrhoid, and she was experiencing a lot of discomfort from it. So I love to hear when people are really opening their minds to also using it in a variety of ways. You know, there's just not one way to consume cannabis. There's more than one cannabinoid. It doesn't always have to be THC, you know, so it's a beautiful journey that we can take as we're getting to know and develop our own relationship with cannabis.
Yeah, it's true. And also people need to understand that THC is not for everybody.
It isn't. No, it isn't.
I mean, it can be good for me, but probably, I don't know, my neighbor, he probably get, I don't know, some other symptoms. And it's not good for him.
But that doesn't mean that cannabis in its other parts couldn't be beneficial to that same person, right?
CBN, CBG, all of them, for sure. That's what I say.
Or in the method of consumption. So, you know, maybe smoking THC is a little bit overwhelming for you, but maybe using a topical on your arthritic hands feels great.
Yeah.
So
even like in I don't know, when you're using a candle, right? And you have the aroma, it can help you. I mean, in so many ways. Cannabis is, you can use it in every product that you want. It's just, oh my gosh.
Yes. Let me just circle back so that I understand this correctly then. So in Peru, if you want to access medical cannabis, you see a doctor.
Yes.
Are there specific things that you can use cannabis for? Like, do you have to have a qualifying condition, or can you just say, I want to use cannabis, and they'll say, okay?
I mean, if you have a condition like pain, or you are in chemotherapy, or you have epilepsy or Alzheimer, they will probably give you cannabis for sure.
Okay, so you kind of have, there is a list then of things that you have to have.
Yes,
okay.
there is a list. However, if the doctor considers that you need cannabis, even if the symptoms are not in that list, for example, you can have it. No problem.
Okay, understood. That's kind of similar to the new law that we passed here, where you and your provider can work together to determine whatever ailment it is that you have that cannabis works well for, and then they can go ahead and prescribe that. There's no longer like a qualifying condition list. So
there you go. Like, for example, if I have I don't know, I have one patient, she does jiu-jitsu. So she's like a champion, like world champion.
Awesome.
And she doesn't like to be hyped, right? Yeah. And she used topics, right? And she's going to start using THCV because it's good for athletes and it's good for, other food disorder or all of that. So, yep, it's even if the cannabinoid is not present in Peru yet, if you have a prescription, you can import.
Okay.
From the United States, from Canada. for example.
That's awesome. Wow, that's very liberal, I feel like.
Yeah, it's not easy, a little paperwork, but yes, you can do it.
Sure. Okay. Then moving forward, does the doctor then determine what type of cannabis you access? Like, do they determine your dose? Do they determine how you consume it? Or who makes that determination? How does a patient figure that out?
The doctor.
Okay.
And it's actually, they work together with the patient.
Okay.
Usually they begin with a small dose and they go adjusting the dosification. That's how they work. But yes, the doctor, they prescribe what kind of cannabinoids they can have, how they consume it, if they need a special treatment, a special product, who can make it, because there are labs they can make it too.
Okay. So they actually have like pharmacies and labs that will make up special formulations for people?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
that's incredible.
We do have. Yeah. See, Peru is moving very quiet in the industry.
I see.
We have some congresses, some small events, but they're very small. And they're being made by congresses or government or big corporations. So it's kind of quiet right now.
Okay.
But it's happening. Like if you go to Arequipa, there is a place 8 hours driving from here. You will have a museum, a cannabis museum. You will have a lab. You will have a small dispensary that it's kind of like a pharmacy.
Okay.
The growing cultivation is also like people start growing associations. Hemp is going to be growing. So
it's taking off.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting.
There has been some discussion, because here in the United States, our cannabis is federally illegal and it's considered a Schedule I drug similar to heroin, which everyone knows, everyone with a brain anyway, knows that it's nothing like heroin. But there has been some talk about when they reschedule, opening it up so that they have these pharmacists that can make special concoctions for people that are specifically designed to fit with what they need. And I think that's very intriguing. I think it's very intriguing. I think that the overall sentiment about cannabis is that, of course, it works better when it's whole plant or broad spectrum, meaning you're consuming all of the parts versus isolating out a specific cannabinoid. But yes. I think it's worth a look at. I think there are certain things. And, when you look at products on the market now, you'll see gummies with, different things in them. And, some people dial into those and it's exactly what they need. And so who am I to say that, we shouldn't be, making isolate products? Like that's not for me to determine. Again, it's everyone's own relationship. So I wanted to ask you, is the grow that you have going on at the foundation then, are you looking at different chemovars? So where there's like ratio medications and different highly expressed cannabinoids like THCV, are you actually growing those things from seed? Are you hunting for them?
I do believe that genetics is the base of everything. And as an horticulture and a plant doctor, yes, I do have. Before I came to Peru, I make sure that I got every radio that I can have, nice. Every cannabinoid in the full spectrum, so I can have patient plants and I can combine and I can do a combination between the symptoms and the genetics. That's how I love to work.
That's awesome.
I don't like to distill nothing. I don't like to isolate nothing. I work by my plants.
Awesome.
Yes.
Oh. It's the Lord's work, Bertha. It's the Lord's work. Oh my God. That's so awesome. Tell me how did your family react? I know your mom is using it pretty readily. Did you get some pushback from some other folks?
Oh my gosh. Well, it wasn't easy in the beginning. Like I started growing cannabis 20 years ago. And I remember the first time that I got, I don't know, like 10 or 20 plants, and I was so excited. But one day I went to see them, and every plant was dead. And I was living with my parents. When I asked what happened and I saw the cameras, well, I saw my dad putting salt all over the plant with hot water.
Mm.
He killed all of them.
Oh, man.
And he said, and I was surprised because he got two careers. He is an agronomist and also a pharmacist.
Okay.
But he is from the chemical side. He loves pills and all of that, right?
Right.
Yep, and that's his generation, and it's nothing that I can do about it.
Yeah.
Well, now he takes some tinctures.
Okay.
My tinctures. He loves it, right?
Good.
He said they're magic, they're good, and I'm happy that he's cutting some pills, especially sleepy pills.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the older
that's a win.
I'm sorry. I feel like the older generation, that's a lot of the, where they can tap into cannabis. I think, wellness, at the crux of wellness is sleep. Like, we are not machines. We are living organisms. And we gain strength from our ability to rest and shut down and sleep. And so that's a big part of, how well we move throughout the world the next day. And I think that the older generation is really finding a lot of benefit from THC or CBD, from cannabis products, period, in the sleep department, because that's one of the things that they really struggle with as they get older, right?
And that's probably the way that they began to change their mind about cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Because my parents, they didn't like it when I started smoking cannabis. They didn't like it when I quit architecture and when I started doing the foundation, that transaction, they hated.
Yeah.
They didn't understand my vision. They didn't, right? But now, I mean, the day that I graduated, they were the most supporting parents I ever see in my life. They are so proud of me, and it's amazing, right?
Yeah, as they should be.
Yes.
Yeah. How does one transition from being an architecture student to now a horticulturist student? What were some of those challenges?
So different. So different. Well, my grandma and my two grandmas, they have land, right? So I was kind of used to work on the land or be in the land, and they have rice farms in Peru. But for me, the transaction between Peru and USA, I think that was a thing. That was a thing. I was excited to get to the US and study and get to know more about cannabis and the science behind and all of that. But culture shock, it was hard.
Yeah. You're in a new country, you don't have your family around you. I don't know how your grasp of the language was at that time.
Oh my gosh. And that's funny that you mentioned it. One of my favorite professors, the first class that I got, 8 in the morning, it was the Professor Adam. It was landscaping. He speaks so fast that I was losing my mind. My English was good. That's what I thought. But oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know I have to keep working on my pronunciation and all of that. But at that time, like 4 years ago, I was understanding 0% in that class. I was like, is that going to be like that? I'm going to fail.
Right. I hope cannabis got you through some of those times.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, everything ended up very good.
Yeah.
I graduated with honors and I did so much for my community and in Morrisville that it was amazing.
That's awesome. Well, in Canada, I mean, I feel like cannabis is pretty widely accepted as well, too, especially as medicine. So
Yes,
You know,
and it's very restricted, as I heard. But also easy in some way. Like I have a couple of friends who live in Montreal, and they are Canadians. They call a number from a dispensary that is from the government or have something to do with the government insurance or something like that.
mm-hmm.
And they get the flowers in a very low cost.
Nice.
And the quality is very good. And I'm like, and they're like, that's a health insurance program or something like that. And three friends told me the same thing, and it's amazing, right? Like you're getting quality with a good price, and
right.
Yeah, Canada it's accessibility. It's very good. Mm-hmm.
It's more about the access than about, creating this and upholding this billion-dollar industry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the access like for people in Peru? I mean, can people afford cannabis? Is it readily available to them from a financial standpoint? Are there multiple places where they can go? What if you have a disability? How do all those things kind of factor into people accessing cannabis?
Okay, so we have a national health insurance program, right? Okay. Everybody can access, right? Every Peruvian can access. And inside of that program, you can get CBD drugs.
Okay.
Or THC if the doctor prescribes.
Okay.
However, that is only for Lima, if I'm not mistaken, the capital of Peru. But we do have more province and people, it's sick in different province, so they don't get it.
Okay.
Period.
So you have to go to Lima, the capital city of Peru, if you want to access medical cannabis. Is that what you're saying?
In the National Health Department.
Got you.
With your insurance.
Understood. Okay. If you have someone that lives where you live, though, that's growing cannabis, and a person can get access it through another person, then you can set your own price point, or?
We don't have a price range.
Okay.
Government doesn't give you that. So the price here goes very crazy sometimes. I heard more than $200 in Peru, and we're talking about 800 soles. That's like a half of a minimum wage.
Oh.
Here. So
for how much cannabis? How many grams?
30 milligrams of drops.
So an ounce, essentially.
An ounce. And I'm like, what? That's not, right? So what I do, especially the foundation, we donate a lot.
Okay, awesome. Tell me more about that.
If we have a case we know they can afford because they need to eat, for example, they need to pay their house or whatever, right? We just donate.
Okay.
We know the money will come from other places.
That's so beautiful, Berta. I love that so much. What a great mission.
That's what I always believe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Even
if I pay my education a lot of money, because for international students in the US, it's horrible. We pay 3 times whatever in USA citizen pay.
Right.
And even if I spend so much money in the education, I do believe in my heart the education should be free.
Absolutely. Yeah. So which is another reason why we should really be encouraging people to grow their own, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and even making their own tinctures or whatever, if they don't have the economic or the budget to go and buy a tincture, well, let's give them a couple seeds. Donate, I don't know, some soil and help them grow good weed and good medicine, good flowers, and then they can make good tinctures for them, whatever, you know?
That's a great point. And I see it happening and unfolding in our own market here. You know, there's all these people that want to do consultations and teach folks how to grow their own medicine. But it's like, okay, well, if I'm a medical patient and I can't smoke, now what do I do with all this raw bulk flower? And so I think it's important to also teach those you know, those production classes, like this is how you make a tincture and this is how you make a butter. And, you know, this is the things that you have to consider. Those are really important educational pieces too. And I think that those gaps are going to now start to become filled in. So.
Yeah. Even the technique, how to smoke, they want to smoke.
Totally.
You know? How to use it. If you use it a lighter, how long do you use it, you know?
Right.
When is the point that you start healing Bhutan after you just put the light in there? You know, it's so many little details that we can start teaching.
Yes, we can. That brings me to your bio. In your bio, you'd mentioned about offering free online classes. Tell me more about those.
I did like around 10 classes already. 4 of them was about aeroponic. 2 of them was about folkponic, and the other one was about the Korean farming technique.
Oh, I love that! I've been talking to another person that's going to be coming up on the show.
Soil and all of that. How you can get things around you, make your own teas and all of that for the plants, or how you can get the IPM, very organic, all of those things.
I love it.
Important details.
Very important details, truly, because it really honors the essence of the plant too, I feel like, which is that it comes from the ground and it's this natural healer. And yeah, I love that. I'm super excited to talk more about that. So I'm glad to hear that you're also doing that.
It's amazing. I think it's a good revolution.
For sure. Tell me about your work at Cornell University and what you did there.
I love it. Well, I don't know. I guess I got lucky at some point that I started meeting a lot of people from the industry in New York. And one of that, from that group, I met Dr. Daniela Vergara. She works in Cornell University and she is from Colombia.
Okay.
So I do remember one time I was in a class in SUNY Morrisville and we saw a video from her. She was talking about genetics, how sativa and indica really doesn't mean anything about benefits from us and all of that. And I got in love with that girl. I was like, whoa, I need to meet her. And I started talking to her on Twitter. We met and we clicked. We're very good friends. I love her. And she got this idea. She was like, listen, would you like to help me in something? I'm like, what do you have in plans? And she's like, I want to translate the Cornell hemp manual to Spanish.
Nice.
Because she saw the Spanish community. They need more.
Absolutely.
We're focused and doing everything in English. And she's like, I need to do something for my community. I'm like, I'm in. Count me.
I love it.
And we did it in like 8 months, kind of. Okay. It was me and 3 other guys. I think 2 of them were from Colombia. They were science also. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, to work with her, it was an honor for me to work with her. Nice. She's great.
Nice. Yeah. I love it. And I think the point about this is that we really need to be working on expanding access and not limiting people based on, the language that they speak or the part of the world that they're from. The more we can open this up and allow people to see the benefits of cannabis and allow them to access cannabis in a way that works for them, the better the world is going to be overall. I think I always, I'm a nurse by trade, it's my day job. And I always say to young nurses that are coming up, like, I'm really happy that you're here. It's very important for the community that we serve to see brown people, Black people, people wearing hijabs, people that are speaking Spanish, people that are speaking Hmong. These are the kinds of nurses and bedside providers that we need to have servicing our own community so that people feel comfortable and there's one less barrier to them accessing, healthcare and to being well. So thank you so much for that important work. I love to hear this. And you're right. It needs, whatever we're doing, it either needs to be translated into all languages or to see people like you coming out of Peru already having it as, the primary language, and then we have to translate into what you're doing is just as great, right? Because we're getting a different perspective. And it's really important in the whole world, not just as it relates to cannabis, but particularly as it relates to cannabis, because cannabis is so all-encompassing and can be so beneficial for people if they can just find a way to access it. So,
that's the way to access. Yes, it's so important.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts that you want to give us about the foundation?
Everybody's open to come and do any research they want to do. We're open for anyone in the world. And it's just an invitation for everybody.
Nice.
We're open.
Nice.
We have rooms here, so if you want to come, everybody's welcome.
I want to see this incredible project that you have going on, this pheno hunting thing. I want to see all your clones, and I want to see all of the plants that you've planted next to the cannabis to support. Like, I just always think that's really beautiful when you have those crops that are, I forget the word for it, but it's like the collaborating crops or whatever.
Yeah, collaboration. Yeah, it's supporting crops.
Exactly.
Yeah. Those plants work together. Very good. And when you use, for example, when you use the Korean farming technique, you get everything around you and you put it inside and you start working with everything around you.
Right.
And I think that's the way it is.
Right. Well, the thing that I love about it too is the idea is that, you want to source the medicine that's right around your home, because that is in that area, that biome has the things that are going to support your wellness. Like you said, like you mentioned, the living soil and like the water and like those elements all contain things that are specifically made and work well with your body. Like they call it what is it called? There was a mention of it. It's like you want to source the stuff that comes from your area because that's the thing that like fits you best. It's like terra something noir, not noir, but there's a big word for it, Berta, trust me.
And you're right, because I got allergies back in New York.
Exactly.
And you know how I heal myself? Eating honey from the area. Exactly.
I was just going to say that's how honeybees work, right? And that is very proven that, if you're sourcing your honey from your local farmer's market, it's going to be better than what you can get off of your grocery store shelf because it's made by the bees that live by you. And so they're gathering all these things that are right from your direct area and giving those things back to you.
It was amazing because I started having allergies and my professor Kelly came and she was like, what happened? I'm like, I got allergies. And she's like, I got something for you. And she was went to her farm that it was crossing the campus. And she got a bee right there. And she was like, I got honey for you. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. And after like a couple of weeks, I was fine.
Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. Those bees they're pretty smart.
They are.
They really are. Yeah. It's funny that when we just pause and look around and we get in tune with nature, how many things that we can find that are so good for us that are right at the tip of our fingertips and we never even think to access it. Just going outside and being in the sun or, eating the herbs that are growing naturally around in the forest or, sourcing fungi and using the
Yes.
foraging for mushrooms, like.
Yes. Oh my gosh, mushrooms are amazing also. They're my second favorite things on the planet, mushrooms.
Okay.
For sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
I also love psilocybins very much, and functional mushrooms, not quite as much,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Is there any, I know that like in Colombia, they have different types of plant medicine that are similar to like ashwagandha or different medicines that can help you access like deep parts of your conscious. Do they have anything like that in Peru?
I know you heard about San Pedro. It's a cactus.
San Pedro, it's a cactus? Okay.
Yeah.
How does that help people?
We do, oh my gosh, they go to your conscious and they start cleaning all your traumas and depression in 12 hours.
Okay.
I did it twice.
Okay.
Because it's very common to do in families.
Okay.
With the shaman.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I did it with my cousins, and we went to a place where the Incas did ceremonies in the top of a mountain. And we did San Pedro with other liquids, and it was amazing. I was depressed in that time, and after 12 hours of walking and being just with myself and with the shaman, playing music and the nature, I heal myself. San Pedro heal myself quick and good.
I believe it.
I'm an example of it.
I believe it 100%. I know the power of plant medicine, and it can be incredible life-changing events can come about from it. So one thing I just want to touch on before we go, because you talked about how your cousin was very religious and your dad was religious, and so that automatically made them against cannabis. Within the Incan culture, has cannabis been used in like rituals? Is there any like documentation of that anywhere? Or is it widely accepted?
Know about medicine, but they were doing ropes with hemp, and they were using the roots in some rituals.
Okay.
The roots, but not the flowers.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and it was just a mention articular on the University of Cusco. It's the only thing that I find about in Peru, that they use a rope and that they use the roots.
Okay.
Of the hemp, they do for the roots.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel
nothing
like
about leaves or flower or
Okay. I hope that people can start to view cannabis as more of like a spiritual experience, and that will open their hearts a little bit to being able to even access their own God that they believe in, right? That they have faith in. I think sometimes cannabis can just really bring that veil down, and you could even deepen your relationship within your own faith, right?
Yeah. It helps to get into your soul.
Exactly.
And get concentrate and get focused also on what the divine wants for you.
Exactly.
I mean, if you use the plant the way it should be used, everybody will experience a different way. But the plant is magic, and it gets to your spirit in so many ways.
So many ways, Berta.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think that's a good place to end, that the plant can get all the way to your spirit in so many ways, be helpful. So thank you again for your time today. You are always welcome to come back if you have any special projects that you're working on, or you just want to give us a good word about what cannabis is doing in Peru. You are and would be an honored guest here at any time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And you guys are also welcome to come anytime. Just let me know. I will pick you up from the airport.
That's awesome. Please tell my audience where people can find you.
You can go to any social media and type Hadita Verde Peru and you will find us. And we are working on our webpage. I think it's going to be ending in a couple of weeks. It's going to be ready. So, and it's going to be haditaverde.com.
That's awesome. And I'm really looking forward to seeing those classes too that you will be hosting more of, and I would love to steer people in your direction.
Thank you very much. I will let you know for sure.
Thank you. Thank you again, Berta, for joining us tonight. That's it for Conversations with Kush podcast tonight. I am Molly the Kush RN. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I will be posting links as to how to reach Berta and her foundation on both the audio and YouTube platforms. And once again, have a great night.